me, Francisco. Thanks for coming into my channel today. I thought we'd look at some of the energies coming up this week and what you might have to keep in mind to keep your mind on straight. I know there seems to be a lot of tug-of-war energy going on. People have already shifted into their new dynamic energetically on the spiritual planes, but it hasn't quite trickled down into the day-to-day life in the physical realm. So they're feeling like they've done everything wrong. They're feeling like they don't know what they're doing. They can't trust themselves. And meanwhile, all they have to do is just have a little bit of faith and keep on trucking. So just keep moving with the energies. It's the best you can do. Falling back isn't an option, meaning there are things that your soul's been asking you to do all along through whatever intuitive channel it's been trying to reach you through, and the squeeze is on. So some of us feel like we're coming up against deadlines, and in some way we are. They're spiritual deadlines. They may not necessarily reflect too much on the day-to-day life, but a lot of people are feeling that sense of something's about to pop. So some of us want to push ahead. Some of us just need to go with the flow, right? Like, it's not all a race, even though we feel the pressure's on. So it is a little bit of a paradox, because the pressure is on. You have to do some things, right? You've got to stay on track. You've got to keep your pace. Falling back behind, helping others, yeah, that's like a slippery slope if they're not doing their work. So keep it really simple when it comes to working with your boundaries in the next little bit. You know what I mean? If people are helping themselves and they need a little extra help, fantastic, help along. If they're not doing much to get themselves where they need to go, and you just want to get them there because you want them with you and you go wherever you're going because you think you all need to be together, then I would, you know, check your motivations. Spirit doesn't really like it when you do other people's work. They don't really like it when you mess with other people's timelines. Like, there's a lot of subtlety that works behind the scenes that you'll never be privy to in your own life, let alone somebody else's. So just trust that you don't quite have all the power to do that, and just stick to what you know, which is you. Hopefully you know you, and you can keep moving with you. And that's the safest way to play any of this energy in the next little bit. Okay, keep focused on, keep your eye on the prize, which is getting you into your next evolutionary step with the most amount of grace and with the most amount of ease. It doesn't need to be a war, it doesn't need to be a fight, it doesn't need to be a, you know, power struggle. It just can be a quiet, consistent approach to your own life. That's I think how you work best with the energies. So I figure we'll pull some cards and we'll see what's coming up, and then we'll know for sure. We'll at least confirm some of what I'm feeling, and you can make your own decisions, okay? I'll share it with you. So here we go. All right, I always know a little about the energy before I lay the cards, just by how they're shuffling in my hands. And they are feeling sticky. It's like they want to go forward, but they're getting stuck, and they don't, you know, I mean, oh my God. It's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of energy. Anyway, it's what it is, right? And then, of course, popping out. Ha ha ha. Popping out is the High Priestess. Well, welcome to the boat. All right, so she is, we might as well talk about her since she's popping out. The High Priestess, to me, is one of the most psychic cards in the entire deck. So, High Priestess talks a lot about fluidity and your own ability to go with the flow. Not only your internal flow with your own human will, but the divine flow of the universe and all the things, the subtleties that I mentioned earlier that we can't see. All the structures in place, or all the momentum in place by pure universal push, you know, cause and effect. Yeah, so if she's coming out, popping out, then sincerely she's asking to listen to your intuition. She's very much the empath psychic, not the third eye psychic so much. So she's going to be feeling things through her body. she's warning as well that you will be also feeling things through your own body, and to not ignore your second chakra. Your second chakra is a pretty good indication of what your intuition really wants you to do. It's where it kind of lives. So yeah, I would, feminine, any girl out there needs to be listening to her divine feminine energies this week for sure. Go with the flow. If you're hitting resistance, ask your question, what if this resistance is here because universe has a better idea for me and they don't want me proceeding? So they want you to sense that resistance basically, so you can't get there. So if you start to feel that resistance, then understand maybe this is your time to surrender and take a breath and just stop for a little bit and feel into the situation. Are you acting on time? So that's it, I guess, with her. Let's see what else is coming up. All right, so here we go. I'm going to just divide them into the piles. Still asking what do we need to know. So basically, game on. They want your intuitive nature in check this week. No more ignoring your signs. All right, next up. The Page of Cups is our first card of this spread. Page of Cups, I always kind of, well, it can represent young people, certainly. It can also represent your heart path and the heart-to-hearts that you need, and the checking in, the inner reflection that's required to understand our emotional needs and the willingness of our spirit to work through those. Or vice versa, basically. Our needs are willing to work through the desires of spirit for us. Because sometimes we'll cut off our nose to spite our face because we just want what we want. And if we're not going with the flow, then we could be sinking into a bit of an emotional stupor and not be able to kind of get ourselves out of it without some kind of an emotional backlash. That it's like the inner child. This is probably you and the relationship you have with you. And are you listening? And are you willing to take action on what you hear? So crossing this, Knight of Wands crossing, this does kind of, to me, speak to a little bit about identity. And also breaking into new ground, facing fear, hitting the limits and going beyond, being willing to push through. So it's an interesting combination. It's like, yeah, this gal, and notice she's a gal, she's a feminine in a knight card. So again, this is pointing towards listening to your divine, feminine, intuitive information, whether you're female or male, it runs through you. And it hits your body in different places for different reasons at different times. So it's your job as a soul on this earth to understand the mechanics of your system. So go with the flow, certainly, but get on board and let's get going in some ways. So it's like universe wants you to do the things that are yours to control, which is your attitude, your approach, your willingness, your energy. And they want you to relinquish the control of the flow to the universal higher way of doing things. So you will be facing some kind of fear, or fears may be holding you back, and that may be why you're feeling the resistance this week, because you're trapped in your fears and you haven't seen that universe has got your back if you just go with the flow. Next card in the spread is the Nine of Pentacles. I always kind of nickname this card the Sitting Pretty card, because it can mean the culmination of all kinds of things related to your finances and your own sense of peace and your own sense of abundance, your ability to bring in what you need when you need it. But it also talks a lot about your own self-esteem, and where is that going? Is it increasing? Are people recognizing, like, this girl doesn't have to work too hard, things come to her, she's listening, the birds represent messaging, right? And the stuff in her left hand represents the fruitful, her ability to take from the fruits of her crown, basically, in the heavens, and bring them into the earth plane in a way that nourishes her in the material plane. So the next card in the spread is The Five of Cups usually are not afraid to wade in the emotional debris of humanity. So this could be, another way that your empathy is kind of getting the best of you. If you're not living balanced and you haven't done good boundaries, you could be getting snowed in, basically from the overwhelm of other people's emotions or other people's fears or other people's negativity. So definitely, if you've already got to have a better relationship with yourself this week, keep it simple as far as who you're dealing with in the outside world. People can be also going through a lot of healing right now emotionally. So it would make sense that if you're kind of down in the dumps emotionally, which this card would be professing. The fives often talk about change. I believe this yellow flower represents the solar plexus and our ability to find our power through our emotional body, meaning when we're willing to clear out our emotional body and do our healing and go with the flow of what our body wants to release, then and it may take time to do that, right? So this is all pointing to take the time for yourself and make sure that you're fine. Make sure that at the depth that you're connected. Chariot is upside down. So yeah, you just may feel like you don't know where the hell you're going. And you may be absolutely prepared and have all the energy to get there. We've got the gas in the car and you're ready to go. And universe is like, well, great, until we give you the direction, just you're on standby. So I really wouldn't be rushing. Again, don't push your timelines, don't force things. If things move quickly in natural flow, ride it, go with it, keep going, especially if it's something you wanted. Don't ask questions, just go. However, the other end of the spectrum is if your fears are getting in the way, then you just may be immobilized, and this may be the time for you to actually get some heart to heart going with some people that can pull you out of your funk and get on board, with your own life. So the final card in this little spread is the Nine of Swords, which is interesting because here we started off with one of the most psychic cards in the deck, and here we're ending up with one that is certainly pointing towards energy coming in. And what did I say earlier about it coming into the empathic channels in the second chakra? So here's the third eye card, basically, and the third eye is anywhere but where it belongs in the third eye. So you really are not going to be able to see too far ahead of yourself right now. You're going to be able to feel into what needs to happen as your next step. That's about the best you're going to be able to do. So, and you're also probably underestimating how completely psychically and intuitively connected you are. Sometimes, you can't see the forest for the trees. So you may be in moments of doubt if you're clearing out your emotional body. You may be taking on some of the negativity that you're clearing and allowing yourself to believe in a delusional state that you don't have what it takes and you don't have the power to get this done. So I would say you're wrong. I would say, again, just take a step back, feel into things, and allow your energies to settle into a truth that you can safely work with. So that's another thing too. You may be learning things about yourself this week that you didn't quite prepare to learn, that you thought like, oh darn, I need to do this for myself and I didn't know, or something may culminate that requires more attention on something that you underestimated as being important. And that could be anything from, literally taking care of your own mental health or your own emotional needs to, who God knows, you'll have to let me know. But anyway, so the final card we're going to pull, see where else this is going. And here comes the other beautiful empath. So these are extremely high potency. If you're not listening to your higher self, your inner spirit, your inner soul, however you want to word it, your God source energy, you could be really hitting. I would just listen. I would listen. I would go with the flow. So I think we're all getting our messages. I think it's a question of, are we willing to accept those messages and take action in true whole spiritedness, you know, like as a whole being with our spirit. So, and also be careful who you're mothering this week. Are you mothering your kids because you are a mother? Are you mothering your husband because he's a baby? Like, what is going on out there? Just mother yourself. You've got an inner child. Mother humanity if that's part of your soul journey and you know that for sure. Great. Go to work, nurture humanity, get paid to do it. Don't bring it home and do it as a martyr, because that is like, this is not martyrdom here. This is, I've got it all together and I'm going to work with it in a way that works with me, and I'm going to live in the prosperity that Spirit has planned for me, and I can be a willing participant too. So feel your way through your day. And if you're antsy about the future, then feel into tomorrow as if you're your own psychic and see what you come up with, and give yourself a list of yes or no questions. Is it okay to do this tomorrow? Yes or no? Figure out the answer intuitively and take some action in trust on what's actually working. So that's my quick little hotel room read in the morning. I am traveling on a psychic fair. Housekeeping's already like, are you getting out of here? And I'm like, no, not quite yet. Not quite done. All right, so one more bonus card just to see what else we need to know. Aw, another page. So yeah, inner child work, my loves. No time to disparage yourself. What if the tone this week were bloom into you? Could you do it? Would you allow yourself to bloom all the little pieces of yourself that want more of an audience with yourself? Work with that, because ultimately it is our relationship with ourselves that determine the relationship with others. And a lot of us are, you know, a little reticent in getting that kind of work done, and then we come into these places where we have to demand that people treat us better. But if you treat yourself really well along the way, you don't ever have to negotiate that with humanity. They just understand because it's in your auric field. So be brave and become the best you. You know, treat yourself like a newbie who maybe can sense everything but doesn't know everything, and just be willing to let the universe mother you as well. Out there are those that are willing to give to you because you're on your path in alignment with your day and yourself. That's where you hit the magic plane. That's where things really start to come to you. So be willing to receive the love of the universe this week too. Even if you're cranky, or even if you feel like you don't know what you're doing. Be willing to receive the love, because through that vibration, you will find inspired ideas to bring answers and direction in ways that you might not have thought. You get the idea. Love you. Much love. Drop me a line. If you need a reading, let me know. Okay, thanks. Thanks for coming in. Have a great day.